about General Forrest right off the bat is he had an uncanny ability to place people in a position that done things that he needed done, regardless of rank, but if he seen, so he picked up what kind of character I was, and sometimes I'm a character and sometimes I'm a character. But he knew I was good with writing and bookkeeping and such, and he actually made me a second in command. So he and I shared the same tent. I really got to know the man really well. His son Willie was with us. His brother was with us a lot. And we formed a bond that lasted 160 plus years. Another thing I noticed about General Forrest was he got a bad reputation for things that he didn't do. And he supplied his own troops. He did a lot of things. He done a lot of things for the troops and a lot of people. But it just seems like he got a bad reputation for things. But I know that, like I said, for me, I knew him differently than a lot of people knew. He didn't go to West Point, so he wasn't part of the upper crust. But one thing I generally appreciated about him, he was a common sense general. If a bunch of people were going to get slaughtered doing something, he wouldn't do it, just because he could. But because he wasn't part of the West Point or wherever, whatever, he was kind of, people didn't put a lot of stock in him, but he proved himself on the battlefield. And old Pappy used to tell me, when common sense makes perfect sense, seek no other sense. And something else about the general, he liked to laugh just as much as anybody. But he would get excited once in a while. And when he would get excited, the next thing, he would go from excitement to mad. And then when he get mad, he'd go into rage. And when he go into rage, well, somebody was about to die. But he was a great leader. He was a great leader from the front kind of guy. And like I said, he made me a second in command. As the war progresses, I get sick. My stomach just can't handle the military life, so I resigned my majorship, and I stick with him as a civilian, and then when I finally do get better, I do get reinstated. But, ladies and gentlemen, I've told you a little bit about myself. Once again, I'm Major Kelly, General Forrest's Chief of Staff, and I present to you General Nathan Forrest, and I have presented the preacher and the devil. General.
Can you all hear me? Well, I am Forrest. I did not fight here at Gettysburg. I fought in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. I was 40 years old in 1861, and war fever had taken over where we lived in Memphis. My son Willie was 13, and my brother Jeffrey was 20. They all signed up at the Gettysburg Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee to join Captain Clark's Rangers. And I said, well, boys, I'll join up with you. So we all went up on June 26, 1861. We signed up with Captain Clark's Rangers as privates. Remember that date, June 26th. Well, I knew Governor Isham Harris from some business dealings that I had with him. And he said to me, Bedford, what are you doing? And I said, well, the boys are going into the Army, so I signed up with them and to keep an eye on them. And this was on July 13th, 1861. June 26th, July 13th. He said you could do a better job of keeping after them if you become a colonel. So it took me from June 26th to July 13th to become a colonel in the Confederate Army. I'm the only man that went from private to lieutenant general in either army during the course of the war. Now, Governor Harris also told me, he said, the states are supposed to supply you with uniforms and weapons and horses, because we were cavalry. He said, I can't supply you with anything. I know you're smart and I know you're resourceful, so I want you to supply yourself. If we can, we'll reimburse you for what your costs are. And I accepted that. So I had my scouts out wherever I would hear of a cache of revolvers or a group of horses or saddles or blankets or anything I needed for my men. We would go to that place and see if we could barter for them. Inevitably, wherever I went, one guy had beat me to it. Captain Kelly of the Rangers. Well, I just couldn't put up with this anymore, so I made arrangement for Captain Kelly to become under my command. If you can't beat him, make him join you. And that's how I met Captain Kelly. He's been with me all through the war and after the war. So I appreciate Captain Kelly. He's been a great officer, and he's a great friend. Now, yesterday I gave a speech, and it got kind of heated. I guess there's some sort of controversy about me. I don't know what that's all about. So I decided I'd like to keep it a little bit lighter today. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is a little bit about my family. My family is from Tennessee. I don't live in Tennessee anymore, but my family is from Tennessee. And this is a story that's been passed down. My grandmother and my grandfather lived in a little farm outside of Franklin, Tennessee. And during the Second World War, my grandfather was in the army. And my grandmother had to run the farm. Well, also during the Second War, German prisoners of war were brought over from Germany, and they were put in these various farm places. They had barracks for them. They dressed them in blue dungarees and dungaree shirts. And those German POWs would run the farms because the men were in the war, were in the service. You understand that? Well, it turns out that my grandmother had several of these, I guess she had about 10 of these POWs working the family farm. And 3 of them ran away. 3 of them ran away. And so the sheriff came and said to her, "Did you see these 3 guys dressed in blue? They ran away. They're German POWs." And she said, "Germans? I thought they were Yankees. They're laid out down by the bar." She shot them with a gun. That's what she told me. Germans, she thought they were Yankees. Now there's a lot of controversy about the things that I may or may not have done. I really don't want to get into too much of that. I got into it the other day, and like I said, it got a little bit heated. Fortunately, my sergeant here had to arrest a couple of those folks, and they're no longer around here. So today I thought what I do is either answer questions or tell stories. Now, everyone will tell you that I'm a mean, and this is that I am a brutal and hard man. Often did brutal crimes during my time in Confederate service, and I just resent it. I resent it because that's just not what I was. I fought hard, and the war in Central Tennessee was a bitter war. It was much different than the war here in the Eastern Theater in the fact that the federal government occupied Tennessee. And the occupational forces were not nice to the civilians of Tennessee. And in fact, they had no problem with burning the farms. They burned over 1,600 farms in cities, towns. They had no problem of stealing anything of value, silverware, anything of value, they would steal it. And if you were the father of a young man who was in the Confederate service, they had no problem stringing you up and hanging you. That was their policy. So in Central Tennessee and Mississippi and the Deep South, and that's where their policy was, there is a big, big, big resentment to this day. And I'm going to give you a little story. I am a cousin of General Forrest, and the Sons of Confederate Veterans that are located in Columbia, Tennessee, asked me to come and give a speech similar like this. And I live outside of Baltimore, so my wife and I, we flew from Baltimore to Nashville, rented a car. We went down Route 11. When I'm in Tennessee, I'm not going to eat McDonald's. Okay? I'm going to eat some barbecue, I'm going to eat some catfish, I'm going to eat some grits. So we go into this little place called Wayside Inn. It was a house they converted into a restaurant, lunch restaurant. Now on this weekend that I was going to give my speech, there was an article in the newspaper, a descendant of General Nathan Bedford Forrest will be there in uniform giving a speech about his famous ancestors. All right? So we go into this Wayside Inn. Now, I've lost a lot of my Tennessee, and they certainly don't know me because I live in Baltimore. But there were 5 guys around the table having lunch, what we call dinner in the South. We have dinner and supper. That guy looked at me, and I had my beard on, and I had my hair the way Forrest has his hair, and I had a Nathan Bedford Forrest t-shirt on. I was wearing shorts. We were just in there, going down to where we were supposed to go. And the man got up and he shook my hand. And he said, "I know who you are. I know what you're doing." He said, "Your ancestors saved my family farm because the Yankees were going to burn." And this was less than 5 years ago. So while to many of you this is 162-year-old history, to some of them down there, that's real life. That's real life. So let's not get too serious. I don't want to have anybody arrested this time. So, does anybody know anything about me? Is there any questions about me?
No. Yesterday you had plenty of questions.
Yeah.
Tell us about your best friend Brad.
I know about you. I was a history teacher, so I'm keeping quiet.
Okay.
Private Hartwell had a question.
Tell us about your best friend Brad.
Well, he's not my best friend. I will tell you that right now. Braxton Bragg took over the Army of Tennessee after Albert Sidney Johnson was killed at the Battle of Shiloh in April 7th through 9th, 1862. Initially, it was supposed to go to P.T.G. Beauregard, a Louisianan Cajun. But President Jefferson Davis, a Mississippi plantation owner, could not turn over the second biggest army in the Confederacy to a Louisiana Cajun. So it went to Braxton Bragg. Now, Braxton Bragg was a unique individual. And I understand, even as a Corps commander, he was pretty good. But when he became an Army commander, it was above his pay grade. He had multiple personalities. He had 5 personalities, and not a single one of them was any good as far as I know. So, I had multiple run-ins with Braxton Bragg. The most famous run-in with Braxton Bragg was after the Battle of Chickamauga. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Chickamauga. Chickamauga was in September of 1863. After the Battle of Gettysburg, it was down below Chattanooga, almost to the state line down there. Longstreet's Corps, who was up here in Virginia, who principal was in Pickett's charge, what was left of them, because Pickett's command was not there, what was left of them took the train from Virginia after they retreated down to Atlanta and supported the Army of Tennessee, Bragg's Army of Tennessee. This is the only time in the war that the Confederate Army was bigger in size than the Federal Army they were opposing. And they were opposing it, they were going after Chattanooga, which was a major hub for a railroad hub. It was a major railroad hub down there. This is the only time the Confederate Army was bigger than the Federal Army. The battle ebbed and flowed for 3 days. Longstreet's Corps was right down the middle. and they busted through. They broke through. When they broke through, the Federal Army, both flanks, rolled around and skedaddled. You know, they don't practice retreating. They don't practice run away. Once you have a major break, what they do is they throw their guns down, they take off their coat, they take off their belts, and they run away. And finally, the officers, 10 or 15 miles down the road, may get them in a line and may get them back into a defensive position. But at that time, they didn't teach how to retreat because they thought that was too negative. When this happened on the third day, on the 9th, I was there and I saw Longstreet's corps break through. I was on the right flank. Joe Wheeler was on the left flank. He had his cavalry on the left and I was on the right. I had my men up in the saddles because we were fighting dismantle. Up in the saddles, and we were going to roll those flanks. Get behind them and roll those flanks. Understand what this means. This is the only time in the Civil War that the Confederates had an opportunity to take a Federal Army off the field. The only time. And we were in position, we had everything going our way, and we got recalled. Major General Braxton Bragg.
Straight man.
Well, I was not very happy. Not very happy at all. The sergeant's salute is like this. I went to Bragg's headquarters tent. The sergeant went like this. I pushed him away. I told Bragg what I thought of him. And finally, my final words were, if you ever issue me an order again, it will be into peril of your life. Now understand, I'm a brigadier general at the time, and he's the general of the Army. Pretty much didn't do that stuff. I turned around, I walked away, and that was the end of me and Braxton Bragg. So I did not have a whole lot good to say about Braxton Bragg. He had multiple personalities. This is the greatest Braxton Bragg story, and I'll move on to something else. He was the quartermaster officer for his company. Quartermaster officer is the officer who wants to get all the equipment for the men. He wants to get, in this particular case, it was in the fall, so he was trying to get tents and blankets and overcoats for his men. So he requisitioned to the quartermaster officer of the battalion blankets, coats for his men. But Braxton Bragg was also the quartermaster officer for the battalion. So he got Braxton Bragg's quartermaster request from the company and denied Braxton Bragg's quartermaster request from the company. So Braxton Bragg denied Braxton Bragg's command. And that's the way it was. He had multiple personalities, and like I said, none of them were good. They were all ridiculous. They were all absolutely ridiculous. We would capture, cavalry was never given artillery. We would capture artillery, and I'd keep the artillery, and he'd send somebody over and say, you need to give us your artillery. I'm not giving you artillery. I captured the damn artillery. I'm keeping the artillery. Well, he kept coming back. I finally told the guy, look, I'm keeping your artillery. If you bother me anymore, I'm going to take your legs and I'm going to wrap them around your neck and tie them into a bow tie. Now get the hell out of here, and that's what you tell Bragg. So that is Braxton Bragg. Now, I'm going to tell you a really funny story. Most people think that I'm just a miserable son of a gun. This is on the Duck River, like Columbia, Tennessee, 1864. It was night. We were trying to get our artillery and our caissons across the Duck River. Now, the Duck River, it's not like one of these rivers around here. It's more what we would call a creek. Okay? It was low, it's rocks, but it goes down. And the artillery caisson was stuck in the middle of the creek. It was Captain McGregor, Irishman. Well, the whole column is backed up because McGregor's caisson is stuck in the creek. So I ride up there, and if anyone knows a little bit about me, I know all the words. Captain Kelly wrote one time that General Forrest had the air blue with words. So I know all the words. McGregor, what the hell are you doing? You got my whole column backed up. Get this damn thing out of the creek. McGregor comes up to me and he says, no General Forrest or nobody will ever speak to me like that again. I said, McGregor, get this thing on the move. Well, my staff, including this man, were up on the hill and they're laughing. I swing around, I ride up on the hill, and what the hell are you guys laughing for? That man's a lunatic. He's got his torch out and he's threatening to blow us all up. He put the torch in the caisson where the artillery and the powder and the fuses are. He's threatening to do that. I said, he's a lunatic, get the hell away from here. And these guys are all laughing. They're laughing their head off. It turns out McGregor had taken all that stuff out of the caisson to lighten it up to try to get it out of the creek. Okay? So I'm all concerned and screaming and yelling. They're laughing, and there's no chance that I'm going to get blown up. And that's the kind of stuff that we've had. So that's a McGregor story. There are also some terrible stories. John Bell Hood took over after Bragg. And John Bell Hood lost use of his arm here in Gettysburg. He was shot the second day at Gettysburg. He got back in the saddle and at Chickamauga 2 months later. He led that breakout and he was shot in the leg and he had to have his leg amputated. And after the fall of Atlanta, Jefferson Davis, who knew John Bell Hood, put him as the general in charge of the Army of Tennessee. The Army of Tennessee was fighting the Army of the Cumberland in Franklin, Tennessee. And this is one of the other times that we outnumbered them on the first day. We outnumbered them on the first day. We had 37,000, they had 18,000. So you would think that we had a pretty good opportunity. The Duck River runs behind Franklin, and our scouts had destroyed the bridges. So the Federal Army was stuck in Franklin. They could not get across the Duck River. It was running high that particular time. So we were trying to get from Columbia, Tennessee, which was about 15 miles south of Franklin, to Franklin to engage the Federal Army before they could put in their pontoon bridges and get across. Well, John Bell Hood, in his infinite wisdom, decided, we'll leave the artillery in Columbia. So we had a charge on November 30th, 1864, similar to Pickett's charge, only the difference was it's a 2.5 mile charge instead of a 1 mile charge, and we had no artillery to soften them up. We came down that hill and we got slaughtered for 5 hours. It's called 5 desperate hours. It is the worst fighting of all the Civil War. Went into the Federal trenches with knives and brass knuckles, and at the end of the day, 5 Confederate generals were laid out at Carton Plantation on the back porch. A friend Patrick Claiborne included John Adams, States Rights Grits. All these were fine men and fine generals. Them all. And I saw John Bell Hood at Harrison House. I said, I told you this was going to happen. If you would have let me flank them, we would have got to them. 5 of my best men are lying on that porch. If you weren't a cripple, I'd rip your arm off and beat you with a bloody stump. Walked away from that. So that's General Forrest. People ask me, what would you like to be remembered as? Because there's all kinds of silly stuff that they remember me for. I'll just bring it right to the forefront, the Ku Klux Klan. Who's ever heard that I was the founder and the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan? Raise your hands. Okay. Ku Klux Klan was formed in 1915 by William Simmons at Stone Mountain, Georgia. Him and Simmons and his buddies went up there and they built a cross, set it on fire for all Atlanta to see. That's a fact. I was buried on October 30th, 1877. Now, I don't know, I'm pretty famous and I've done some great things in my life, but how I could be buried on 1877 and then found and be the Grand Wizard of Ku Klux Klan in 1915 is pretty doggone hard for me to understand. It doesn't work. And the fact of the matter is, I was never a member of the Ku Klux Klan. There was. How are we doing on time? What time is it?
Time, please.
All right, I'm just gonna end this real quick. There was something called the Ku Klux in 1866. It was founded by 5 men in Pulaski, Tennessee. They know exactly who they are. There was not a person named Forrest involved in it. So I will just end that. I was not involved in the Ku Klux. I was not involved with the Ku Klux Klan. And the only reason that they come up with that is my nickname was the Wizard of the Saddle, and the leader of the Klan was the Grand Wizard, and perhaps they got confused. But that's the absolute truth. What do I want to be remembered as? Well, I invented a mobile warfare. My guys did not do the normal cavalry scouting, screening, this sort of stuff. My guys got on their horses, they rode to the battle, they got off their horses, and they fought. This is a mobile warfare. Hans Guderian, Erich von Manstein, Erwin Rommel, 3 German generals of World War II that are credited with the Blitzkrieg. They all studied Forrest. Okay? During Desert Storm, if you know what happened there, the Iraqis were lined up, the Americans and their allies were lined up, and it looked like it was going to be a typical Civil War clash. But Schwarzkopf ran his tanks around into the desert and got behind them. When they asked Schwarzkopf, "What is that?" he said, "You need to read about General Nathan Bedford Forrest." Okay. I just have a couple things here I want to show you. Just bear with me. This is a declassified paper from the Naval War College in Norfolk, Rhode Island. Operational Leadership of Nathan Bedford Forrest. This is a paper telling how to use Navy ships the way I used cavalry. This is Armor Magazine, the magazine of mobile warfare put up by the U.S. government, by the U.S. Army. The Battle of Bryce's Crossroads, an application of principles of war. Bryce's Crossroads was my most famous battle. Nathan Bedford Forrest. This is how to use the U.S. Army the way I used my cavalry. General Nathan Bedford Forrest, Military Leadership by General Walter E. Pittman. And this is a paper that Pittman put out showing what Nathan Bedford Forrest, how to use Nathan Bedford Forrest in the modern world. And that's what I want to be famous for. That's my legacy, is the mobile warfare that I developed. And all these other things, most of them are ridiculous. So with that, I will end my speech as I end all my speeches. Now, where did I tell you I was from? Memphis, Tennessee. And the words of the second most famous man from Memphis, Tennessee is, "Thank you. Thank you very much."
Oh, thank you, General Nathan. And I'm told on this sunny Sunday you wore your formal uniform
I
today.
did wear my best uniform for reasons to be known shortly.
Oh, no. Now, for those of you who have just arrived, I am Miss Josephine Prescott Delaney. And ladies, are you out there with me? Was anybody here yesterday or the day before? Okay, you were very entertained yesterday, were you not? It was quite trifling, wasn't it? I had to, stop it. This is why they put a lady in charge. So ladies, hear me out. It's 1863, and I need some help here. Is this your husband, madam? Oh my.
There's a fight starting.
Wow, all right. So is he a man of reasonable intelligence? Oh, that's good. There was the compliment after the insult. Okay. Okay. So I was born in 1841, so I can't remember everything. And yesterday I thought it was 1925. And I keep having my mind set on that. So man of reasonable intelligence, what year is it? It took him a while, didn't it? Maybe I should select a different man of reasonable intelligence. All right, is the heat getting to you, sir? Okay, maybe you should wear some more clothes and it could soak up the perspiration a bit. Keep you cooler, like our generals. So, I have a surprise guest. Now, you all have your schedules. You knew that General Nathan would be here, direct descendant of General Nathan Bedford Forrest, the original from my timeline. But first, before we go on to this, ladies, this is the very first time here at the Daniel Lady Farm that a lady was put in charge of the speaker's tent. Applaud, 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 applaud. Thank you, it's about time. So I decided to invite some extra guests that aren't on the schedule. And I'd like to introduce to you a dear friend of mine. And later we have General Jubal Early, and he's going to share the stage with the Honorable Miss Louisa May Olcott, another surprise. And we also have the Union Generals that'll be coming on board next. No comment. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you a dear friend of mine, recently acquired. This is Major Pauline Kushman.
Well, thank you kindly, everyone. I am Major Pauline Kushman. Have any of you ever heard of me? None of you have heard of me.
Well, I've heard of you.
Well, I've heard of you too, sir.
And that's for later.
Yes. I was a spy for the Union Army from the spring into summer of 1863. Tell nobody I'm a spy here, okay? I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. One of 8 children, I had 7 brothers. So think about that, y'all, having 7 brothers. So I grew up in the South with my 7 brothers. My father was a merchant, and he had quite the business in New Orleans. And however, a bunch of folks were coming to New Orleans and starting businesses. So when I was 10 years old, he moved our family up to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Started a trading post up there with the community as well as the Chippewa tribe. So I also became friends with the Chippewa tribe, but I mostly hung out with the young braves and also doing all kinds of things that my brothers and them taught me: how to hunt, how to fish, how to shoot a gun, and all kinds of different things. I wasn't baking bread or anything like that. So I enjoyed the company of the boys. I still do. I'm actually born in the name of Harriet Wood. Pauline Kushman is not my birth name. I got very, very bored living in Grand Rapids. So when I was 18, I decided to go to the big city of New York. I wanted to be an actress because we would put on little plays in town and in the Chippewa village. I wanted to be an actress. So there was a very famous actress at the time, Charlotte Kushman. So I fashioned me a new name, Pauline Kushman, and so I basically rode her coattails a little bit. So I was an actress for many years. 2 of my brothers, when war broke out, they elected to stay with our original home state of Louisiana and fight for the Confederacy. Now, at that time, I was married to I've been married 3 times, so let me see. Charles Dickinson was my first husband. We have 2 children, my son Charles Jr. and my daughter Ida. Unfortunately, they will not live. They will both pass of illness in their childhood. But I was married to him, and we decided I'm staying loyal to the Union. I wished my brothers no harm. Like so many of us during the war, we had friends and family that went ahead and fought for the other side. I wish them no ill, and they said, okay, Pauline. So my husband enlists in an Ohio regiment. He comes back home in October of 1862, very sick. He's going to die in December of 1862. Now, Charles and I always didn't see eye to eye on things, so there are some accounts that he died of his illness he contracted in the war. There's also a couple accounts floating around that he dies of blunt force trauma after a meeting with me. I will leave that up to your interpretation. War breaks out. I stay loyal to the Union. He's now dead. I'm a widow, so I go back to acting. And I am acting, trying to make money to send home to my children that I left in the care of my in-laws. And it's in the spring of 1863. I am in a state of Kentucky. What do we know about Kentucky during the Civil War? Some were for the North, some were for the South. And because I liked playing cards, and I also like a beverage that I was introduced to by the Chippewas at 12 years old, whiskey. I like good bourbon. I was actually born June 10th back in 1833, so I just had a birthday, so I'm still accepting gold, greenbacks, and good bourbon. See me after. So I would have a lot of friends on both sides. Actually, one of my friends that I met before the war is killed here at Gettysburg, General Richard Garnett, who makes Pickett's charge. I met him when he was in the 6th U.S. Infantry. So I'm friends with both. And a couple of my Confederate gentlemen friends came up to me and said, Miss Pauline, you're doing a play, The Seven Sisters. We'd love you to toast Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. And I said, well, and they offered me $300 to do it. I said, what do I do? That's a lot of money I could send home to my kids. So I go to the local provost marshal. I say, sir, I'm being offered this money. He said, take it, Pauline, let's root these Confederate sympathizers out. So I did. I toasted Jefferson Davis a couple nights later. Some were cheering, some were booing, some people just up and left. When I got back to my dressing room, I was fired from the theater company because I was a Confederate sympathizer now. I lost my job. What am I going to do? So Colonel Truesdale calls me to his headquarters a couple days later and offers me to go from actress to espionage. So that's how I became a spy in the Civil War. And some people ask me now, how did you obtain information? Well, I've had many ways, and I will tell you that because when the boys went off to fight in war, we would still be in the theater companies doing our plays, trying to entertain folks. We would play, myself and the other women would play male roles. It was very easy for me. So sometimes at boarding houses and such, where I knew Confederate boys were, I'd sneak in and steal their uniforms. That's how I would sometimes weasel my way in, hide my gender. Another time, well, I would just look for my lost brother, William Kushman. I did have a brother, William, who fought for the Confederacy. And I would just go ahead and go looking for him. And I was the poor woman looking for her brother. I hadn't heard from him, and I wanted to know if he was still alive or not. So it is in the summer of 1863, I am gaining intelligence for a man by the name of General William Rosecrans I'm working for, and General James Garfield in the Tullahoma campaign.
Sorry, Miss Cushman.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've become very nervous about you talking about being a lady spy because we have General Nathan here, of whom you've had contact with. And I'm feeling that we're a bit surrounded. What is the situation, General Nathan? Oh no. Oh no. I'm worried for her.
Don't be worried, because you know what? I am captured. And they bring me to this man right here, General Nathan Bedford Forrest. I had stolen some maps and some items from General Bragg.
Right now. Go.
From General Bragg. Oh, now wait a minute. Now what are y'all doing here? All right, now, General. Yes, General.
Pleasure to meet you again.
Why, yes, sir,
You are quite
indeed.
the card.
I am indeed, sir. And
Unfortunately for you, the deck has been shuffled, and you've been caught. These gentlemen here will be arresting you. I don't want no dealings with you. It's my understanding from my provost that in your shoe, troops. Now, Miss Kushman, if you have my battle plan, I don't want you to disrobe in front of my tribunal. So,
Well, that
I
ruined
am
it
going
for
to
us,
say
Nathan. You are not going
I
to
hereby order you to hand over Miss Pauline Kushman back into federal hands at this moment.
And if I had my Colt revolver, I would shoot you. Just like I said 162 years ago, sir.
I was shot. I've been shot many times, and it's never been bothered me. Gentlemen, you got no business here. We're going to have to take this lady under martial law, and we will take her to General Bragg. And
Wait,
you
who
can
many
deal with
wants
him.
me to take him to General Bragg? General Bragg's gonna
You
hang
can
me.
deal with the
You don't
6
wanna see me
personalities of General Bragg, because I'm sure not going to deal with it. And that is under
That's 'cause
U.S.
you're
and
assaulting,
Confederate
sir.
law. Let's
You're
go.
assaulting.
Let's
You-
go. Let's go.
You're
Let's
assaulting.
go.
I can't
We're
believe
going.
you would take it to
You
Bragg.
don't ever.
I can't-
You never touch me.
To the ready!
I can't believe that.
Let her go, Major.
You never touch a joint
Yes.
order. Do you understand me?
Oh, well, look
You
behind
never
you then.
touch them. It's not part of
What do
any
you think
deal.
about that, General
You like
Forrest?
these odds, huh?
And you know what, General Forrest? My friend John Hope Morgan's a better cavalryman than you.
Well, you follow us. Well,
Thank
Daddy,
you
you know
very
I
much,
give my all.
kind soldier. Sergeant, I'll tell you right now, if I had my Colt revolver, I'd shoot you dead. I know how to shoot it. Thank you so very much to my great army. I do owe you all indeed.
Bragg's command. And then Rosecrans people came and got overran Bragg's command, but she was never taken from me. And what was happening here is a play put on by some
Actress,
Yes, by some
Miss
actress.
Pauline Kushman.
If you want to know the facts, the facts are that we captured her, and she was sent to General Bragg, and then the Federals came. Nobody ever captured me. I will guarantee you that.
General
Thank you very much.
Nathan.
Great time. Thank you.
General Nathan, I thank you for, it was my turn. I knew nothing of this, as you can well imagine.
I don't believe that.
But it is true. Your men, what happened, sir? Tell them what happened, why she was arrested.
Well, she was arrested in the camp, and she said that she was looking for her husband William, and you met Major Kelly, and he pretty much knows everyone that was under my command at that time, and there was no William Kushman. So then they looked at her and they realized that she may not be of the proper gender. And once they did that, they checked out her boot, and between her heel and her sole was an opening, and they had the plans for my disposition of my men. And as I say, I was not really interested in having her disrobe in front of a military tribunal, so I just sent her to Bragg. She can deal with Bragg's 6 personalities. Maybe one of them will take pity on her. And when they were at Bragg's, Rosecrans's army did come down into Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They ran off Bragg's army, and they did recapture. She got taken out. She survived the war. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you ever so much.
Right, here.
So, those of you who just come on board, that was a very theatrical performance, was it not? This is unfortunately what happens when you put a lady in charge. We ladies of I had nothing to do with this. Don't blame me, man of intelligence, reasonable intelligence. I knew not of this. All right, we're gonna have a song before our Union generals. What are you going to sing for us?
Join the cavalry. I know of General Stewart. I've never met the man, but I do know of the song. I'll just give you a verse. Where are them boys at? Where are them boys at? Cross the Potomac, cross the Potomac, cross the Potomac. Where are them boys at? Cross the Potomac, bully boys made, bully the cavalry. If you want to catch the devil, if you want to have fun, if you want to smell, well, join the cavalry. Thank you.
All right, here at Daniel Farm, here at Gettysburg, Virginia. Here for the 162nd anniversary
Ladies and gentlemen, please
of
stay on
the
board.
Battle
We have our
of
Union generals. We have General
battle took place
Buford with
here.
us. We have
You just listened
General
to
Sheridan. Is it General Sheridan? Nope.
General Nathan Bedford Forrest section.
Colonel McCandless.
Gentleman who was
And also
related to General Nathan Bedford Forrest.
So it's quite an interesting twist.
Just walking through here, walking through this settler area. Okay. It's a great day out here. Weather's pretty pleasant. I'm in, of course, short sleeve shirt, shorts, like most folks are.
Just wash these back.
I think I'll do is walk through here, and then we're walking through here.
$9.
I want to get some.
You get these too, any of those too?
The patterns, whatever I've got here. One size does 7, one pattern does 7 different sizes.
Yeah, look at the top, it'll say like it's 38, 42
That's all I've got on here. Wish I had some racks.
Stickers everywhere here.
Please, can I have it?
That was the Rum Creek settler.
Is that your mini me? Your mini guy. Walk from Maryland and you know walk How you doing? Doing good.
Here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the 162nd anniversary. Daniel Farm. It was a great reenactment yesterday at 4 o'clock. Today there will be a reenactment at 2 o'clock, so it's still another 3 hours off until the next reenactment.
Cards hearts are tight, yeah.
We'll do it this way. Well, Sam gets enough.
You have a good day.
Sir, you have a wonderful day. Now,
What are you buying me?
Hello again.
Hey.
I'll
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good.
Just walking through real quick. I'll be coming by later on to pick up one of those calendars.
There you go.
We'll see ya.
Stone Mountain.
Bye.
Absolutely. I was just out there in Stone Mountain about a little month and a half ago. Had the ceremony out there at the base.
Cool.
Had the commander-in-chief of the SEV come out there and speak to everybody, Kennedy. So it was great. So anyways, I'll come back by a little later.
All right. All right, sure.
Honey, you can't pull it off though. You'll have to keep it on. Come this way. They're still in there. You want the next one with a different backdrop or same?
Same, we're just gonna have Grandpa sit in the chair and two of us will fly home.
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Oh.
That's only half the story, sir. It goes in that.
Oh, nice.
So they come with stands.
Thank you. I'm going to come back for this.
Now, you're aware that's the one from Richmond, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's no longer there.
Absolutely, yes. Yep,
Look, we don't have it as a magnet.
I visited this, and I've got a large photo of this in my home. Because my family stopped by, we took a photo of this. Had no idea that would be gone just a year later.
Well, I looked. We have not made a magnet of that, but I'm going to. So the next time you see me, I should have that as a magnet as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, good. I'll be coming back for that.
Sure. I will tell you, I think that's the only one we have. Do you want me to put that aside for you?
Yes. Yes, if you don't mind. Thank you.
I don't think we've brought any more of these.
I'm not sure, but you might as well do that until we figure it out. If we have more than one,
Normally I don't hold stuff for people, but you said you were coming back yesterday. You're a man of your word, so if you say you're going to come back for it.
Thank you for that.
Sure. Give me just a second and I'll find package form. Okay. And if you're paying cash, it's 20 even. Okay.
Here at the 162nd anniversary, the Battle of Gettysburg, here in Gettysburg. Actually at the Daniel Farm. I'll walk over here just a little bit. Stop over here at the SEV. Here's the Union ancestor joining the Sons of Union Veterans booth right here. And this one over here is the Sons of Confederate Veterans. This is the this is the Robert Archer Camp out of Maryland. Wait, which city are you out of? I'm sorry? Oh, I see it right here. Yeah. Love it.
State Rangers out of Westminster.
Oh, you're in Westminster. Love it. Thank you. I was planning on going back up there. They have the Corbett's Charge out there once in a while. They're reenactment, don't they?
Last weekend, 28th of June.
I used to go up on reenactment. So, real quick, I am doing a quick live video on Dixie Forever. So, I figure I'm going to walk around and share this and show everybody what they're missing. Okay. And show them that this is a family event. All right, so there's a place over there in Westminster too. I think it was Neil, where there was basically there's two boys that were going to be arrested in their own home. And there was a historical marker down there, and they removed it, unfortunately. Anyway, off of Main Street, there's a plaque on one of the buildings down on Main Street about what happened there. Anyway, I'll talk to you more about it later, maybe.
There's another place over there, Union Mills. Nope. There's a farm there where they do reenactment there too, right?
Yeah. Are you talking about where the Shriver brothers are?
Maybe.
Oh, okay, I'm not sure.
I know. Stewart. Jeb Stewart.
Okay. Yes. Well, it was in that area that Jeb Stewart got most of those wagons, right?
Yes,
leading up to Gettysburg.
While he was late.
Yeah, anyway, there was a historical marker that spoke about. It's been years since I looked at it, but I thought it was the Neils and the boys during the Confederacy. Anyway, of course the Union came after their home, their family, and they removed the historical marker. And so, no surprise. Well, anyway.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know I have a habit of doing that. It's just.
No, you're not.
Yeah, that sounds unfortunate. I can also probably get us back into doing, because we used to just set up and that's what it started.
I say yes. Last year,
my problem is,
good talking, gentlemen.
I take it easy.
I have a hard time getting kit numbers to do stuff. I can't do everything.
That's how those guys are. If you're just joining me, I'm here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Really pleasant, nice day here for the 162nd anniversary. Just a great day to be out here. Just kind of walking around. I figure if I'm going to be walking around, I might as well share a live video. And share a video. Share these videos to encourage you all to come out here. Help support American living history.
Your garment's going to touch you with the sleeve. Well, I could make a cute little puff, and I could protect my sleeve. And then I just take out the basting and throw it in the vat and launder it. This is a period original summer undersleeve, which does the same thing. It protects. If you have an open sleeve like this, I will put this under it. And it's nice and cool and pretty, and it will either be pinned to my chemise, or it might have an elastic band under that. So then I would do that. This is a period original parasol that's been recovered. This is also not an umbrella. It's for the sun. Put this over your head and keep the sun off your face.
Because coral is living.
And then we have a period original parasol with the original covering on it. And this really cute little lace overlay.
So yeah, you would go down and you would take off, you would cut off the coral, and that's
somebody loved it. It was well cared for. Yes. And then this is another period original from the Civil War. Again, it's the intent is I only have a few dresses. Well, I can use this, put this over my shoulder, and I can change the look of my dress. Or I'm going to go out to dinner and I want to look a little nicer and do this over.
sometimes even now, like here.
No, this isn't tatting. I think this is machine lace. They did have lace made by machine, or they still had handmade lace, but there was a lot of machine work that were in the throes of the Industrial Revolution, so you did get a lot of interesting fabrics and interesting accessories that were made by machine. And Mrs. Crawford has some beautiful period jewelry that you might like to look at.
Thank you. And it tended to turn a lot browner with age, unlike ivory, which really didn't. Ivory darkens, but not the same way as the nut. But that was, that would be a imitation ivory that doesn't kill anything. Very true. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you.
This old lady's funeral has called all the rest of the
So, black jewelry was the most popular in the period because Queen Victoria was in mourning and she only wore black jewelry, so everyone else only wore black jewelry. And it's available in a variety of price ranges. So the most expensive would have been something that is called jet, and this is what it looks like taken off the cliff where it was found. It's only found in one place in Whitby, England, and they would lower baskets with children with picks and hammers to harvest it, and then it was carved into jewelry. So this would have been the most expensive because it's hand carved and it's limited supply. All of this is jet. And then if I couldn't afford a jet, but I still wanted to look like that, I might buy it out of glass. So this would have been a much more affordable imitation jet. If I want black jewelry and I have really very little disposable income, I might buy something made of horn. So this is a byproduct of the meat industry. Hooves and horns would go to a manufacturer and they would cook it down and add I don't know that it was lamp black, but something similar to lamp black. And then it would have been, so remember it's gelatin and it's going to be kind of gloppy. They're going to press it into metal molds, and then when it cools and pop it out like a muffin, then the design would be left. And if I owned one of these and I did not have a lot of disposable income, I'd probably be wearing this just when I went to church. I wouldn't be wearing it every day. I mean, it depends how many pieces I had. If I had several pieces, like maybe I had a belt buckle that I had gotten from a relative, like maybe I would wear my brooch every day, but I'd only wear my belt buckle to church. Because you wanted to take care of it. And then sort of the middle priced were two different kinds. So this is the time period when rubber was being used extensively for a variety of things. Boots, making blankets waterproof for the soldiers. But it was also being developed into jewelry. So this comes from the rubber tree. The jewelry is called vulcanite. That's a brand name, like Kleenex is to tissues. So this is called vulcanite, but it comes from the rubber tree. You can see that it's very smooth. It's also molded. So again, you're cooking all of that together and pressing it into a mold. This is also a belt buckle. If you, my cross broke, but if you want to smell it, you can smell that it smells like rubber tires.
Oh yeah, it does.
Which seems surprising as old as it is. So again, like maybe I couldn't afford vulcanite or I couldn't afford jet. You know, when this was one piece, the designs are very similar, but you know, the glass would have been less expensive than the vulcanite. And then this is called gutta percha. It also comes from a tree, but a different tree. When it comes out, it's white. So in this case, they've molded the cameo out of the natural color, and then they've mounted it on a frame that's been dyed black. But one of the things that we've discovered about gutta percha is it comes out black, but it exposed to the light, it turns brown. Right. So over the years now, so this was not brown jewelry. This would have also been black jewelry, but this one came apart, and you can see how dark it was to start with. Then back on the higher price would have been bog oak. This is petrified wood, mostly available in the British Isles. It almost always has a Celtic design on it. It was industrial though. The person who started out making the bowl shape, and then the centerpiece would be carved by one person, the next person would do the next ring, the next person would do the next ring, and on till it was finished. This is something you'd buy if you were touring Europe. You'd bring it home as a souvenir. Right. So that's black jewelry in all of its various choices. As I said, there's rubber buttons, horn buttons, and piquet buttons. I'll talk about piquet in a minute, but just that is an example of that. So, right. Ivory, very popular. Obviously, it was still legal to shoot elephants. And it wasn't always elephants. It actually, the tusks of a narwhal, or the horn of a narwhal, were actually harvested as well. There was an imitation ivory made of a tonga nut, but it didn't hold up in terms of color. It turned brown. So, the real ivory that was very white was the desired. Tortoiseshell, again, about all these things that you can't do anymore. can tell if it's tortoiseshell when you hold it up to the light. You can see the different colors. So we know tortoiseshell as a color now, the sort of brown and yellow swirl, but it was originally from a turtle, not a tortoise. Very confusing name. But the underbelly is light, the upper is hot, is dark, and so they would layer them, thin layers of it, to make the design, and heat it up, and then press it into a mold. So this is an example of one. Now, not to get into the gory details, but the turtles weren't killed. They were actually stripped and thrown back in, and it grew back. It still sounds horrible, but that is what it is. Agate was very popular. This one is just a simple agate, and then banded agate was very popular. So these agates naturally occurring with these different lines in, and then they would use them decoratively, like this one with the tiny little ones all the way around. This is also a banded agate. Here the band is right there. And then one of these is a banded agate, and one of these is an imitation glass. Want to guess which was which? Okay. Now feel them. They're hot, but feel them. Rub your fingers over them.
Pretty. I like that.
And put it with the brooch.
That is pretty.
And that would change your dress completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, when, as I said, you would not want, ladies did not want any tan marks.
Gotcha.
If they had tan, that lowered your station in life.
Uh-oh, then I'm in trouble.
That meant you were a farmer's wife, or that you were a laborer.
Yeah, well, pretty much a laborer.
They would wear straw hats, long sleeves.
Oh,
They would
okay.
put the hat on, or
There
the
you
bonnet,
go.
which would cover to a certain point.
Right.
So then we came to the parasol. Parasols had two different shafts. You had this breakaway that would fold up and have a sleeve that would come down over it.
Okay.
Straight. Or you had the solid.
Right.
And these were not real long ones.
Right.
Because you held it just to cover your face.
Gotcha.
Now you will see people walking around with these really large umbrella shapes.
Right.
And then we have some samples of other kinds. This is a standard one.
Just walking around here at Daniel Farm, here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, here for the 162nd annual anniversary of the battle that took place.
Because once swelling goes down, I can put it back in there, close it up, it'll grow back, just like your arm or a leg. And that type of surgery goes all the way back to Egypt and the days of Pharaoh.
Just kind of walking around here in Gettysburg. Very pleasant, nice day out today. Still about 2.5 hours from the reenactment. The reenactment is supposed to start at 2 o'clock, and it is now just about 11:30. Today being June 6th, 2025. Having a
All right, General, I hope he does, because if he does, we will defeat him. Nothing much happened on the third day, at least as far as we were concerned. We heard some fighting off over the east, which turned out to be the cavalry battle. We found out later that Lee's assault on the third day wasn't simply an infantry attack. He wanted his entire cavalry corps to come all the way around and attack our lines from the rear. Our cavalry generals figured out what he was doing and they stopped him. We got nowhere near the rear.
Baby, how? I said, I said, how do you embalm? You want to learn? I said, yes. He said, quarter of the thumb. What do you mean quarter of the thumb? carotid artery or thermal? I think I'll go carotid artery. He handed me a scalpel and a pick. He showed me where to make incision in the neck. I did, and then I to take that pick and pull that carotid artery up a little bit. So I did. He said, put a little notch in that carotid artery. I did. He said, now take a flow tube, hook on your hose from the gravity bone, stick that in your carotid artery. Beside that, you see that's the jugular vein. Pull that jugular vein up, and you cut the jugular vein off completely. I said, why? Because you want to push all the blood out of the bone. You get the bone, push the bone, so you cut the jugular vein off, you're done. Come see me when you're done. You walk away. Simple and easy.
You found out later they had
During
nothing.
the Civil War, Dr. Dale was formed by the dude that was no, they could not do that. Morticians still cannot. We can still only do one person at a time. What the doctors did during the Civil War, they go in town in a hair guide, bring them out and say, all right, in a bucket, I need a gallon of arsenic, 2 pounds of mercury, 2 quarts sugar lead, so much flannel, so much alcohol, so much creosote. Stir all those poisons up. The splash is going to help. Wasn't on the doctor. They put in the gravity bottle. They made a mess. They cleaned the mess up. There was no rubber gloves back then. Because next week the doctor said to me, I got less about this guy. They were just day help. I can always get day help, but I can always teach somebody how to do embalming. That's simple and easy. That was okay until the doctors come back to St. Mary. The guys that were still around would say, well, I see that doctor's back again. The last time he's here, I embalmed 4 people for him, and it took me 2 days to do it. That doctor sat back and watched me do all the work for drinking whiskey the whole time. He got $100 a person. That was $400 to pay them in 2 days. They paid me $1. I know how to do it. What you know, no problem. $80 a person. Became
Here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
The utility tie.
Yeah, I did help a lot, especially yeah, okay, I'll go. Yeah, I just cut up some down. Oh, done. Well, this has a little more body, so it'll stay tied too. I found that silk won't stay tied.
I don't like the shadow there. Too much.
Where are we looking?
I'm good. Him towards him.
This is a better angle with the sun and the shadows.
Okay, well, he looks like he knows what he's doing more than we do.
If I put this on a stick, but I look like I know what I'm doing.
There you go. Exactly.
I don't know.
I just took a lot like a...
Okay, well, we still, okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Hello. Hi, how are you? Doing good. Really, very nice day out today.
Not humid, but the breeze is great.
Exactly. Little, yeah, it's a little humid, little warm, but hey.
Yeah, so we would represent an actual small home, not a tent. We weren't camp followers. And we try to teach what is going on at the home front, not just taking over, taking care of the animals and the farms and whatnot, but even in the cities, we did their herbs, and because the field hospitals were not prepared for the number of illnesses versus injuries that the soldiers were suffering. So we would get with the Ladies' Aid Societies, they would say, well, we need this for, dysentery or pneumonia or whatever, so we would package the herbs and send them to the Ladies' Aid Society, so we would then get them to the field hospitals.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for doing this.
Showing up.
Glad I can come by. I'll share some of this on a site called Dixie Forever.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
So, love it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
And they had 5 to 7 loaded rifles behind them. Do you think that would be the 3 and 5? Lewis said yes, to the extent the fire never stops. There's no break.
How it
Second
runs,
line,
what powers it.
reloads, and then fire. There's no
Figure
two-line
that out.
firing. It's continuous. It was the only place in our line that we had that.
Well, that's where
As they got closer,
the motion
right
starts.
they kept coming.
But what is the power source that runs this machine? Think about it a minute. Look it all over.
Where the 69th and some of the other units were that
What do you
had
think?
them.
That's right.
It was different.
Down here. But
They
what's
were
going to do it?
They
What's
were-
going to make it move?
Whole rows of them would just disappear. They would just be.
You've seen one of these before, haven't you? No, you're just very quick study.
The same thing had happened to them at a place in Fredericksburg just a
This
year
machine
before the Marine Heights.
was built in about 1920 in Japan. It is not a Singer. It's in the wrong cabinet.
And some of these regiments that
It's a
there was
homemaker.
18th Alabama, 19th
In
Alabama,
1920, this machine was pretty much the state of the art coming out of Japan.
Our men knew that because they recognized
They were
the
very
flag, the
popular.
original colors that they had with them.
Now,
And they started screaming, Fredericksburg!
electric
Fredericksburg!"
machines
And of course,
were
there was
starting to
nothing-
come
nothing
on the
that
scene.
Congress could do. But basically,
There was electric in much of the country by 1920. But the bulk of the people still needed a treadle sewing machine.
But just about that time, an orderly arrived finally.
Okay, because a lot of people in the country still did not have electric. So they used these. Now, there is a group of people in this country today, in the 21st century, that still use a treadle sewing machine. Could anybody guess who those people might be? You've probably heard of them. The Amish. Anybody heard of the Amish people? They are not allowed to have electric in their homes by their religion. And so they still use a treadle sewing machine. How about that? Yeah. Now they're allowed to have, some of them, allowed to have electric in their businesses. But they're not supposed to have it in their homes.
Your officer should be 2nd Corps, 2nd Division.
Trying to get that
1st
corner
Division.
turned up in there.
They didn't know who he
So
was.
what I'm doing
Lieutenant Haskell
is I'm
used to
making
say,
something.
They all knew my
Very
name,
simple.
Frank Haskell. He went over and used my
I'm just hemming the edges.
and plugged the only gap
And it's just a square piece of fabric.
that was caused in our line. I believe today you refer to it as the hot water.
Can anybody guess
Water was not
what this little square piece of fabric might be when it's done?
a lot of the Confederates
Something very practical.
to the wall. They never even made it within 100 yards of
What, honey? What, honey? Not a pocket, but that's a good. That's a really good answer. Anybody else have an answer?
Cutting them down.
Handkerchief? A handkerchief. Yes, ma'am.
They didn't want to walk in the hill. I can't say
So what I'm doing is I'm just turning the edge over and stitching that edge.
so extreme. You couldn't walk from our position down in the 3rd row, stepping on the ground. You were walking on fire the whole way. That's how bad it was.
And I also feel
Now, afterwards, of course, Bobby Lee thought better of staying around and
starting the machine with my hand
better.
instead of like
Back on light duty, General Lee put me at the recruiting depot at Cleveland, Ohio. I wrote to him because I said he was a friend of mine and I said, George,
And they were brand new because they belonged to my friend Rita.
Yeah.
And she came back last night and did buy them, but that's the only pair of 9s I have. Because I'm just trying to sell things for 2 of my friends.
Right.
Because I'm not really a sutler. I've been in the hobby 30 years and I'm trying to downsize.
Yeah.
30 years. Wow. And that's why you see fabric. I have 3 sons. They will not know what to do with any of my things. I've already told them about the sewing machines, and I have documentation for them. But they will not know what to do with the fabric. And I'll never get all of it made into dresses.
No.
So I decided to just start downsizing and trying to get rid of my things.
Right.
3 years ago, I got rid of all my cast iron.
Oh, wow.
So I sold all my
I found
cast
out
iron.
later I was one of only 3 general officers that had participated in the battle that were at Gettysburg the day that the cemetery was dedicated by Mr. Lincoln. Now, at this point, I want to turn it back over to Colonel McCandless, any of his thoughts, his role, and any of his thoughts in the battle.
Here at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the 162nd anniversary at Daniel Farm. Just stop by here just for a little bit longer, and I'm going to continue on.
Today I put a plastic eye cup in there, 1 drop of super glue, and I pull the eyelid shut. That's how we keep the shut today.
Back then they didn't do that.
No. Some places still don't. The funeral is that, the burial was that last week. We didn't use anything. It was my girlfriend. I buried her. She died in a heart attack. And I buried her. I even dug the grave. I thought I was doing the deal. When I started.
There you go. Fix that.
I used to, when I was 10 years old, I was working in the graves. I was helping dig graves. So, something that had my education on doing that particular job. And I didn't do it all the time. Just occasionally I do it. Help with the grave digging. Anyhow, the reason I have a flag here in Jim is to remember to the first officer died in the Civil War, Colonel Elmer Ellsworth, May 21st, 1861. Ellsworth had heard the Confederates were in Alexandria, Virginia, so he led a troop of Zulu soldiers from Washington, D.C. over to Alexandria to get the ground war started. When he got into Alexandria, all he could find was a Confederate flag flying over Miller's Tavern. I'm going to stop here. I said a Confederate flag. Good old Confederate flag, right?
A battle flag.
You're right. North Virginia battle flag. And a lot of people think it's a Confederate. It's not. It's a battle flag. There is the first Confederate flag. 7 states, 7 stars. As more states joined the Confederacy, they went to that style of flag. In late '63, you know what? We're not surrendering at all. Wind's got to be blowing for them to see that red. Then they decided they better put a red stripe in the bottom. There was only ever 3 official Confederate flags in the Civil War. Now there was over 200 different flags. Each regiment had their own, each state had their own, each general had their own. Cavalry had even different flags as well. So that's why there was over 200 different flags. But anyhow, that First National is what Ellsworth had taken down from the tavern. As he was coming down the step, the tavern owner was mad at the colonel for the simple fact that was the colonel was stealing his flag. So he reached underneath the bar, pulled a shotgun out, and he shot that thief in the chest. Unfortunately for Mr. Miller, he wasn't thinking too straight because he was standing in front of the colonel's men when he did it. So he got shot 5 times. Left him lying on the floor. They took the colonel back to Washington, D.C., put him at the firehouse shipyard. The word of his death spread pretty quickly through Washington, D.C. Then Dr. Holmes, of hearing his death, went to the president and got permission to embalm the body. So Dr. Holmes proceeded to embalm the body. Then he said he sent a message to the president he was done. He lied. He was not done. But when the president heard they were down on bombing the body, the president and Mr. Lincoln stopped doing what they're doing, immediately went to the firehouse. It turned out the president was a very close friend of the president, Mr. Lincoln. He was a member of President Lincoln's law staff. He entertained the president's children many times. But most important of all, he was engaged to Mr. Lincoln's niece, almost family. That's why they immediately went to the firehouse. The president carried right outside the firehouse. Doc had just got done washing the body and laid there naked. There's the president getting out of the carriage. What are you going to do? Tell him to stay in for 10 minutes? I don't think so. Lucky for the doctor, there had been a bunch of flags stored at the firehouse, so he draped the flag up to the colonel's shoulder. That's why I have a flag on him, remembrance of that. The president, Mr. Lincoln, viewed the body, and Mr. Lincoln is quoted as saying, "It looks like he's asleep." We know that because newspaper reporter there at the time. He lay for a week in Washington, D.C., shipped rail to Albany, New York. We lay for another week. Up at Albany, they wrote, "This man had been dead for 2.5 weeks. There is no sign of death, no swelling, no color change, no smell. It looks like he's still sound asleep." Never reported it comes north to south. That's how the average person found out about embalming here in America. These are tools of the embalming trade of the 1860s. So they are. This is a gravity bottle. It works on the principle for every foot above the body is a pound of pressure. It takes a minimum of 5 pounds of pressure to preserve a dead person. The gravity system was used in 1695 by Dr.
No sooner that we got there, we could see in front of us this valley, and we could see the area where there was a jumble of giant boulders, and we could see our men retreating from the wheat field and through the woods in front of us with the Confederates on their heels. So we formed into our battle line, but we couldn't do anything until our men in front of us cleared our lines. So we waited and we waited, and it finally cleared us.
All right, I'm going to finish up at one of my favorite Sutlers over here. Really good folks. For some on Hill Forge.
I gave an order for the first line of our battle line to fire a gun. And they did.
We can go out.
Hey, I'm doing a live video. And I just want to stop by here and say hi again.
Hi again. So I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
So Charlie says, how do you know his name is Robbie? Your name's Robbie.
Rob.
Rob. I say Robbie, but no one ever calls you Robbie. Do I? Am I the only one?
I do. No, I have. I've been called that too.
Okay. But we met somewhere at the beginning of time, and I think you introduced yourself as Rob.
Here, just a second.
I'm sorry.
Let me just set this up.
Was I talking in your video?
I'm doing a live video.
Sorry.
No need to be.
You go back and edit, right? Not on live.
I'm gonna keep walking around. I'll come back.
So when they turned and looked to see where the fire was coming from, there was a long pass, and they noticed through the windows and outside the windows this smoke coming out. So they knew that there were Confederates in that house, and they formed a group of 6 people to go and take them out. They surrounded the house. Amanda was surrounded by police departments. That simple action there resulted in 6 men. We stayed in this wall through the rest of the night and into the next day. The Confederates had pushed across the field to the woods on the west side. About 5:30 p.m. on July 3rd, after the big cannonade and the attack was kind of given and talking, we heard it, we could see it, we could see all the smoke.
Have a lovely day. Thank you. Oh, it's always good to see you too. Thank you.
All right, continuing on here, stopping through here at Persimmon Hill Forge out of Scotttown, Ohio. So that is really good, I'm telling you right now. And just walking through here. Stuff right here.
Yes.
There it is.
We'll, I should be, we got a little over a break, so I should be able to get it fairly quick.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
hopefully in the next few weeks I can get it done up. Before I ship it, I'll let you know anyways that I got it and it's on its way or whatever.
Cool. Hey, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate
thank
it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good one.
Hey, you too.
Thank you.
Well, good to see you again. I'm just doing a live video as I'm passing through here. So I had to come over here and see the friends.
Hey, it's so good to see you too.
And you're out of Scotttown, Ohio, right?
We are. Yes, sir.
Nice. And I'll be seeing you at many more reenactments. This is Persimmon Hill Forge.
Persimmon Hill Forge.
Persimmon Hill, thank you. Yep, I brought a bunch of Confederate battle flags from you. Discounted rate last time I was out there in Dry Creek, up there in Greenbrier State Park for that reenactment. And I use it when I can.
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
You look a little different than you did yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, finally.
These flags. They're 5. Okay.
Finally got dressed.
Hey, what, we're going to the 16th,
Yep.
the 142nd.
Not yet. Okay, yeah.
Better not be sticking out.
I'll be back around.
No. Oh. That's the wrong one. I needed them.
All right, just walking around here. Coming up on about 2 hours until the reenactment here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Hello, sir. Good, how are you? Try to be a nice day today. General leather belts here. All right, I'm going to continue on over here. Hi there.
Yeah, there is. Over here.
Need to get in here.
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you.
Serious pains.
So my grandmother lives in Boston, and that's a little chamber. And the reason why the valley's named
How you doing, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
You been to Stone Mountain before?
Oh, many times.
Many times you come that area?
I used to live near there. Alabama, though.
Well, thank God they're saving it anyhow. I know they want to destroy it.
Oh, amen. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And
I've never
it's,
been there. I understand it. I was hoping, one day to make it there, but I don't know if I ever will. But yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like anything down south they want to destroy. Look what happened to Confederate Avenue in Richmond.
yeah, amen. I'm so glad I went there with my family. There on Monument Avenue. There in Richmond, Virginia. And we stopped by and we got a family photo there by the Robert E. Lee, that beautiful Robert E. Lee Memorial, world famous on that historic boulevard. And what I call the American Taliban, the Mayo-Marxists, actually, decided to attack it and remove it after it had been there for 130 years.
They destroyed it?
It was disassembled and it's in pieces right now. It's in a waste treatment plant center over there in Richmond. It's disgusting what they did, and they'll have to live with that. The people who did that will just show their actual true character, how low and pathetic they really are, to actually remove a beautiful memorial like that.
They're bitching about how we're getting all these aliens out of this country.
Exactly. No, that's
just like that governor of the state of Maryland fighting to bring that guy back because he was a Maryland boy. Bullshit, he was an alien. He was never racist.
Yep. Yep. Amen, sir.
Yep.
Hey, well, good talking to you. I'm gonna keep running.
You make it a great day and make sure it's blessed, okay?
Thank you. God bless you too. Appreciate it. All right, here at Daniel Farm, here in Gettysburg, Virginia. Just kind of walking around, strolling around. I figured I might as well just turn my video camera on. I like to watch these once in a while, document these neat American living history moments.
Coach Vance wants to get on. Unfortunately, we don't have a button Vance pin.
For Daniel Farm here at, this is actually a historic Daniel Lady Farm. I think I've been mispronouncing that. In fact, here's a sign, some of the activities. It's a 3-day event. And you see right here, this is part of the historic Daniel Lady Farm, 162nd Battle of Gettysburg. You see this started on Friday. There was a great program, Friday and Saturday. I went to the reenactment. You can see it started at 4 o'clock yesterday. And today the reenactment, as you see here, is 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock is the battle. It's called Bullets as Thick as Hailstones, the Valley of Death. And it is now 12 o'clock, just a little after 12 o'clock. And it's July. Once again, today is July 6th, 2025. Just a little afternoon here on this pleasant day in Gettysburg. And once again, this is I just was there. I started this video here at the General Nathan Bedford Forrest story. That's where this started, at the General Nathan Bedford Forrest story, as told by a descendant. They had a kids muster at the same time. And right now they're having this U.S. Stories of Leadership Union Generals over there. General Early is supposed to start right about now. I'm kind of tempted to go over there as well. I'd like to see that, but the battle starts at 2 o'clock. But I really want to go to the Jubal Early one, but I also want to go over to the encampment for the Confederate encampment. So I'm gonna start walking that direction. So I'm gonna start walking that way, walking over towards the encampment. Here at Daniel Lady Farm, here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. 162nd anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg that took place back on July 1st through 3rd, 1863.
And it wasn't like 15. I don't know if you saw that. Because I actually grabbed him by the shoulder.
I did see that because I thought, oh.
Well, I was about to put my foot on him. I won't put that foot.
Grab the Yankee by the neck.
Fit wrong.
Well, he was telling me over there.
Legends in Gray, living historians. I'm going to stop this for just a moment. I gotta get something for a moment. United States Christian Commission over here.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Christian Commission.
Wonderful. Just stopping by just really quickly.
Okay. Came out of the YMCA for the war years and relieved the suffering of the soldiers. We bring in medical equipment, food, clothing, little Bibles, and gospel tracts. These are reprints from originals of these. And the delegate would go out for 6 weeks at a time, and they would keep reports, and this is a book of compilation of several reports. And this is a single one that he's from Maryland, came up for Battle of Gettysburg. It's here from July to November, taking care of wounded people. Mainly Confederates at Lutheran Seminary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for. Well, thank you for that.
All right, good fun today.
It's a wonderful day.
Great.
Love it.
Had a good breeze. Makes a difference.
Oh, thank goodness. Here at Daniel Lady Farm here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, for the 162nd anniversary of the battle that took place way back in 1863. While the federal encampment through here. People are starting to already assemble for the reenactment. This is the federal encampment right through here. Hello, y'all.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, you look good.
Thank you.
South Carolina, so.
Oh, yeah.
We're on the wrong side right now.
You are for now, but we appreciate all people who do living history.
Yeah.
But you're right, South Carolina is where it all started, as you know.
Right, that's right. My grandfather was in the 2nd South Carolina.
Oh, is that? Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, it's a special place to me too, because that's where a lot of my family comes from, South Carolina.
Oh, nice.
And more Charleston area, yeah. So love going there whenever possible.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of my great grandparents that are buried there, great grandparents that are buried there in Charleston. Yeah. Well, thank you for being out here.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm sure you'll change the hat out.
Eventually.
Exactly. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too. This is part of the federal encampment over here. I'm going to walk towards the Confederate one, but it's on the far other side of the field. I'm going to try to get over there right now. So I'll pick up the pace. Get some exercise in today. Definitely notice I get out of breath a lot quicker than I used to. I've run 5 marathons and I think I am done ever trying that again. Already shows. The Confederate encampment is way on the other side, way out in the path. So let's try to get out there. But they're having a demonstration basically right here. And this field is completely set up different than it was yesterday. This is where it's going to be. The reenactment is going to start in about 2 hours from now. So we'll come back here come back here and I'll share some live videos. Basically, they're having a demonstration over here right now. I'm heading towards the Confederate encampment. It's way out here on the other side of the field. But there is some over here, so I think I'll go this one first. Pick up the pace again. She's part of the U.S. camps over here, this direction. So the Confederate encampment's way over here on the other side of this hill. They're having a demonstration right now.
Inside the cell, there are 4 men. Each man has a file partner. He has to call all these
All right, this will be one of the longer videos. I started this 2 hours ago, actually. Trying to do a little bit of Go here to the Confederate encampment. You see it over here, separated by quite a distance. Doesn't appear as though they have much shade over here on this side. It's kind of interesting how they have the Confederate encampment so far out here, away from the main area. Shoot some rounds off right now. Once again, the reenactment is supposed to start a little over an hour and a half from now. Showing 12:15 Eastern time. The reenactment actually starts at 2 o'clock here in Gettysburg. Pick up the pace a little bit more. Pretty pleasant day today for the most part, although I am starting to break out in sweat. It's the field hospital right through here. So here's the Confederate encampment. Once again, you can see how it's, the actual reenactment is going to take place down in here. I walked all the way across, started this video on the other side of those trees over there. And they're having a kind of a demonstration going on over there right now. All right. All right, well, let's just pass through the Confederate encampment. Oh, thank you. Thanks.
I was coming this way anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being out here today.
Of course, it's the wall keeps me cool from the sweat.
Oh.
Sweat. It's projects, man.
So it actually, you think it keeps you cooler a little bit?
Yeah, I'm still harder than you would probably be. Obviously, wool pants. But
Nice.
it's kind of hard.
I'm not sure what the temperature is today. It's getting up close to high 80s.
Yeah.
Maybe 90s, maybe close to 90s today. All right, I'm gonna pass through here, it's part of the encampment.
How we doing?
Gentlemen, good, how are you?
Hi. Good.
Thank you for being out here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Having a good time as always.
Well, it was a great time for us. It was loved the enactment yesterday.
Are you the camera guy that had the rotating cameras yesterday that was out in front of us?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't get any special permission. I do have drones, but I don't like to do drones here at battlefields. I like to get close up on ground action.
Okay.
So I mean, drones have their place, and I use drones a lot. I have for years, but I'd much rather get ground action as close as possible.
Yeah, you get this profile here instead of the top of our head.
Now, were you shooting
Exactly.
cannons up close yesterday, were you?
I tried to, but I did share the video on a place called Dixie Forever.
Okay, I'll look that up.
And so I shared most of the video I shared it mostly live yesterday on Dixie Forever.
Now, were you shooting Confederate or Federal?
Almost entirely Confederate.
Were you?
Probably 80-90%.
Okay, so you may have captured us in our parrot rifle then.
You were in the background, yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's hard from this perspective because you guys are so far out away from.
Yeah, and we're going to be on the other side today.
Good. I should be able to get better shots today.
All right.
Now we're going to hold you to that.
And yeah, you'll have to post them at our Riley's Batteries Facebook page.
Oh yes. Okay, good to know. So, and I don't get paid for this, so get what you get. Yeah,
Well, we appreciate it.
So, this is all because I just love coming out here and want to help share it with others.
Now, do you go to other reenactments?
Oh, absolutely.
You gonna be at Cedar Creek?
I'll be there as well.
Oh, so will we. Hale Farm in Ohio?
Probably not that one.
It's a good one. It's the biggest one in Ohio.
We got the stern wheeler coming up 2 weeks from now in Zanesville. The stern wheeler's going down the river. We'll shoot at it with our cannons, and then they'll come back. They do 4 or 5 trips, and we're going to have our howitzer on the stern wheeler also, our small howitzer and stuff on.
Oh, nice.
So, and that's just a one-day event, just the 19th.
Well, awesome. Well, I've already been to places like Alusty, Florida. I've been out to Aiken, South Carolina. I plan on going to Dry Creek, out there again, out there in West Virginia. Maybe, and plan on almost going to. I'll be out there at Cedar Mountain or having like a get together over there, and Cedar Creek as well.
Cedar Creek last year was phenomenal.
I love that young fellow. I'll give that to you. I'll tell you how to get to heaven.
5,000.
Thank you for this.
People don't realize you get to choose where you go. You can pay for your sins, or you can let Jesus do that. So
thank you for
read it, and hopefully believe it. If we don't see you in the future, we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Gosh, we had
I'm just kind of roaming around now the Confederate encampment here in Gettysburg, Virginia. I'm sorry, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Well, yeah, you got to stop so
Just kind of passing through. So they don't have nearly as much shade here as they did in the federal section back there near the entry. Much more remote out here. You got to really walk out of your way, as you saw, because I did a live unedited video to come out here. You can see the distance it took just to walk out here. Hello, hi there.
How are you?
Sorry?
How are you?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you doing? Thank you for being out here.
As we're visiting up here, we don't get many visitors.
No, I was just saying, this is, the federal encampment is so much closer and it's shaded.
They get that spot every year.
Okay.
They don't like us.
Oh, I love that. Well, they should. I walked through there, and there's a lot of folks in the federal encampment who would love to trade the blue in for gray next time around.
I'll tell you what, I was.
Well, if you're. Well, reenactors are, I just appreciate everybody keeping a living history. We all know.
Well,
It's a.
did you know Betty White from Civil War News?
Oh.
She used to be a journalist or a photographer for Civil War News.
I'm doing a live video, by the way.
Okay, and anyways, she came over to Union Camp, and I was in Union Camp at Cedar Creek, and I had friends over in the 1st Kentucky, over in the Confederate camp. So she talked to us around the campfire, and then I was gonna disappear before she got there, but I hung around because I saw this journalist coming with a helper, and I sat there and talked to her for a while, and then she left, and then I went across the field, put my gray jacket on, and sat with my buddies in the 1st Kentucky around the campfire. And she came right to the same one. It just so happened, of all the interviews, she came to the 1st Kentucky, and we're all sitting around the campfire, and she says to me, "Boy, you looking awful like a guy that's over in the Union Camp." I said, "Oh, you met my brother, James." And she said, "And who are you?" "I'm Jesse." And then she put it in the Civil War News, 2 pictures of the guys around the campfire. There's Jesse, there's James, and here's Jesse.
That is funny.
But and then I saw her sometime later at another Civil War event, and she's there. "Hey, somebody called the news and said I had 2 pictures of the same guy at the same event. Are you the same?" "Yeah." "Well, why'd you do that?" "Because I can."
That's funny.
But I did 15 years Union, and I did 18 years Confederate.
Thank you for doing this all these years.
Yeah, well, actually, it was a reason I had to do it. I was working 60 and 80 hours a week, and I crashed, and the doctor says, "You guys not work so many hours. You gotta take a break. You can't work weekends." So we went traveling, and we found a bunch of Civil War guys at Antietam, and on their license plates of their cars was Whitehall Fire Company, Kutztown Fire Company, Pottstown Fire Company, Hereford Fire Company, Emmaus Fire Company, and I live in Zionsville. And I started talking to them, and I said, "How do I join?" And they said, "Well, we have a historian, and you have to fit the criteria of our historian of the 96 PA Company G out of Pottsville, Pottsville, England Brewery. All the guys in our group are personas." So then they gave me a sheaf of papers and said, "Study him," because my name happened to correspond with somebody else that was in the 96 PA.
Oh, I love it.
And then it was first person. They did a lot of first person. They didn't do a whole lot of reenactments. They did more first person. But once you join one group, then you go to find some other group that says, "Hey, you want to follow in with us? Hey, you want to follow in with us? Hey, you want..." Yeah. So I was doing events every weekend, but I wasn't working. And the doctor said, "You can't work 80 hours a week." So every weekend it was 96 PA, then it was 150th Bucktails, then it was 88th Pennsylvania, and then it was a 46th Pennsylvania. And then I went to some event, and none of the Union guys were there, but there was Confederate guys there. And I walked on the field, and Terry Shelton says, "Hey, are you with anybody?" I said, "Well, I'm blue and you're gray." He said, "Well, you take that blue jacket off and we'll give you a gray jacket." And I started falling out with the 1st Kentucky.
and made a transition just like that.
Yeah. And then, the thing is, we were on the field then, and the 96th Pennsylvania was promising, "You're going to be a corporal, you're going to be a corporal." But I was always, guys would come in as corporals or as privates, go through the ranks up to captain, lieutenant, and captain, and I'm still a private, no stripes. So
Terry Shelton says, hey, we're going to have you as first sergeant in 1st Kentucky. We happened to be on the field, walking across the field. I heard a bunch of guys yelling, water, anybody have a canteen for water? And I said, boy, that sounds like the 96 PA Company G. And the guy says, yeah, it is. How can you tell? And I walk up and I have my canteen and I have my stripes on my jacket. And the guy says, well, you just lost your chance of getting any stripes now that you're wearing a gray jacket. I said, that's okay. I got a gray jacket and I got stripes. So.
And you fell in with some good guys.
Huh?
And you fell in with some good guys.
Yep.
And
I'm in the movie Gettysburg. I'm in the Guides and Generals movie. I'm in a couple of National Geographic movies. So.
Oh, I love it.
So that's where I am, and I just love doing it.
And
I have a gift of gab.
And you could say it's kept you healthy,
yep,
as well, right? And it's good activity.
I'm 73.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
now
awesome.
you say, well, you don't look 73.
No, and you don't. I love it. Well, thank you. I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah. I could. And everybody says, how come you can talk to everybody? I said, it's just a gift of gab.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I hope you have another many more years doing this.
Well, come down and see us at Funkstown in 2 weeks.
Oh, yes.
Funkstown, Maryland, near Hagerstown.
I'll try to do that.
Then we embellish.
It's not too far from there. I'll be looking for you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Great day.
Thank you. You too. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yes, I appreciate that. The 4th Maryland. Nice. Right, I'm in encampment side right now. The Confederate encampments side. It's much further out of the way. I had to walk across the field, past the battlefield where the reenactment takes place. The Union Federal encampment is closer to the front entry, and they have a shaded area, and the Confederate encampment out here is out in the open. There's no shade out here. Kind of got to walk a bit of a distance to come out here. But there's a pretty nice wind right now. It's probably causing little problems with the audio. Hello?
Hi.
Hi there. Are you a part of any particular regiment or unit?
Hart's Battery?
Oh, Hart's Battery.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind giving me a quick 1 minute rundown of that?
Well, actually, I don't think they were part of Gettysburg.
Okay.
To tell you the truth, but we're out in Trans-Mississippi, part of the Civil War, and I think our history is they were part of Texas. They come out of Texas, and we're all from Oklahoma, for instance, and we came all the way out here for the Gettysburg event because we don't have too many big events back there. Probably our biggest one, which is equivalent to Gettysburg, is Honey Springs.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Out there in Oklahoma, yes.
And that's our big event. It's coming November.
Oh, it is coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to be there for that one.
7th, 8th, and 9th of November.
Good to know, thank you. I've been to that battlefield before, but I was the only one out there, of course, at the time.
In Oklahoma, we'd usually end up doing more Union than we do Confederate, because being in the South like we are, they have an event and there's 50 Union guys show up and 150 Confederates show up, but yet the Union's supposed to win. So they ask us to galvanize, we call it, and we change jackets, and we go over on the Union side and fight against our own friends who are Confederates.
Yeah, that's pretty commonplace.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places where they have a lot more folks wanting to join the Confederate ranks for reenactors, and so they just swap over and kind of measure. Because as we know, it's a tough scenario when typically throughout the war, typically there was a larger body of Union soldiers.
Yes.
Like for example, Fredericksburg, there's twice as many Union soldiers as there were Confederate soldiers.
Well, we do it for the history, not for the heritage as far as Confederate versus Union. We do it more for the history, teaching the younger people about history and letting them actually see it, touch it, hands-on thing,
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, sir.
I love it. Yeah, I used to live out in Oklahoma for a little while.
Oh, really?
At Durant.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Salisaw.
McAllister.
Oh. Oh, yes, okay. Well, I used to go out there to, so I'm sure you've been out there to Fort Washita.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And
we teach a part of the Loyal Train of Artillery, and I'm one of the instructors. We teach cannon safety to people who want to be on cannon groups. And we go to Fort Washita. That's kind of like our headquarters. And we do that every March. We do a cannon school there in March.
I love it. And there's that Confederate cemetery back there, almost entirely unknown, unmarked graves. About 200 there, right?
Yeah.
And it was that Confederate General Cooper,
Yes.
who was supposedly buried there, but they don't really know. But there is a monument to him.
There's one monument in the middle of the deal.
Yes. In fact, that was one of the very first pictures I took as a young kid with a Confederate monument. Was there at General Cooper there outside of Durant, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I loved going out there. I lived in Gilmer, Texas for a while as well.
Okay.
And
he's originally from Texas.
Oh, is that right?
He lives in Oklahoma now.
Oh, excellent. Well, isn't that like about 40 miles? I'm thinking the same place. Okay. Which direction? Tyler area.
45 minutes north of Tyler.
I get you. Okay.
I know Gilmer, but yeah.
Well, I love going out there. There's that beautiful Confederate memorial out there in Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
And when I lived there a long time ago, there was no Confederate memorial there around Upshur County at the courthouse grounds, and there is now. So it's never too late. And it basically says there was thousands from that area that gave their lives, and so they deserve a memorial over there. So I went back and I had a photo from there on the Upshur County, near the Upshur County courthouse grounds, it's right across the street. As a kid, I recreated it before they had the monument and then afterwards.
Cool.
But anyways, but I'm glad Durant, for example, has a Confederate memorial over there. And of course, I've been over to General Stan Waddy's gravesite quite a few times. Yes, right, way up there, as you know, on the north side of the state. At Polson Cemetery, I think it was.
A lot of us, of course, being from Oklahoma, have Indian heritage, and so we were, always kind of wanting to be part of the. Back when I was an infantryman, I was part of the Cherokee Mounted Rifles.
Oh, I love it.
Stuff like that. So I started in 1981, infantry, and then we moved up to the point where I got old and crickety and bad knees. But then I switched over to artillery because it's not so much strenuous on your knees and legs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's trying to convince me to stay in artillery instead of being with the infantry, because I run with the 16th Arkansas Regiment, which was a primarily Choctaw and Cherokee mixture of native troops, and it was more of like a home guard than anything. But they were called upon multiple times to go into Missouri and start harassing the Union up there.
That's awesome. You guys represent Oklahoma.
Yeah, those guys, when we sign in, they look at you and say, "You come all the way from Oklahoma?" Yep. We don't have something like this down there, big events. Honey Springs is probably one of our biggest. Prairie Grove is probably the biggest one in Arkansas, and we usually try to go to that. And
yes.
Then they have Pea Ridge, but since the national parks don't do reenactments on the park grounds anymore, they have to change the venue and put it on some private land or someplace else, so we can actually have a reenactment where we're shooting at each other.
Yeah,
National
exactly.
parks won't allow that anymore.
Yep.
Why, I don't know, but it kind of looks funny when all they do is bring a cannon out there and say, this is a cannon and this is how they shoot it.
I know, it's ridiculous. I hope now's the time to change that.
Yeah.
Change that policy. So, for example, not too long ago, was the 161st. Well, it was the anniversary of a Battle of Sailor's Creek. So it was the 160th, right? The one that took place right the week before Appomattox.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a state park, so at least they can have it on the park grounds, on the actual battlefield.
That's why the Honey Springs is on the state park, and you get to do reenactments there. And of course, one on Pea Ridge now, and what was the other one? Carthage. That's on private land now.
Yeah.
We do those over there and have reenactments. And then other than that, we do a lot of Fort Smith, which is a national park. So it's usually just demonstrations.
Oh, yes.
And we don't allow them to fight with each other. We just put on demonstrations of everything happens.
Fort Smith is fairly close to that, to the courthouse too, right? Not too far from there.
Yeah, we're doing it on the grounds right next to the courthouse.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a national cemetery right there as well, and there's Confederates buried in there. I remember going back there. That's really unique because there's a headstone, and usually it'll say this represents 20 that are buried there, and like 30 that are buried there. It's fascinating.
And there's another one, Van Buren, called Drennan Scott House, where the Union soldiers came in, was on top of the mountain, shooting down into Fort Smith area at the stockade there, you know, and everything. And
yes.
When we do Union, we do the 1st Missouri Light Artillery, which is Union, and they had, in Battery E, which we represent, they had 2 Blakely cannons. And I have a Blakely, and a friend of mine has a Blakely. And matter of fact, that's what's setting up here at the end. They're getting ready to put it on here on the field. We're shooting it today.
Very cool. I'll try to get some close-ups from my perspective, or the spectator perspective.
Yes.
And I'll share it on a place called Dixie Forever.
Okay.
But thank you for doing that. Yeah, I'm always, so it was, one of my relatives served under generals, Stan Waddy.
Oh, really?
And I went up there to Oklahoma to his gravesite, and thankfully there's a Confederate marker there at his headstone. And anyways, I was there at, the counties, it was the Cherokee, what's it called again? The Cherokee capital there in Oklahoma. Tahlequah, thank you.
Yeah.
They used to have 2 monuments out there on the courthouse grounds, and I'm glad I saw those before they removed them. I lost so much respect for Cherokee when they did that. They turned their back on their own principal chief of the Cherokee and their own people who supported that entire war.
Well, you know why the Indians mostly fought for the Confederacy. At the outbreak of the war, there was a group from Louisiana that came to Indian territory to try to convince the Indians to fight for the Confederacy. They allowed them to have, it was 5 civilized tribes, they allowed them to have 7, like I think the Osage and the Cherokee had 2 apiece, representatives in the Confederate Congress. But they weren't allowed to vote because they didn't represent a state, but they lobbied for the the Indians' benefits. The trade-off was, if you fight for the Confederacy, if we win, you get to become states in the Confederate States of America, the 5 civilized tribes in their territory. That's why they fought mostly for the Confederacy. There was part of them that said, oh, the Union's always taking care of me, I'm sticking with them, and they went to Missouri and Kansas and Arkansas, different areas to get away from them.
Well, I loved the Cherokee Declaration of Causes for why they supported the Confederacy. And it came down to pretty much the entire reason why the South left, and that is in defense of the Constitution, in defense of their homes, in defense of their family, in defense of an invasion, what they consider an unconstitutional invasion.
There was a famous quote about General Sherman or somebody who stopped a guy in Louisiana, and he said, why do you guys fight so hard? Because they kind of felt like they were losing cause. He said, because you're here.
Exactly.
You know, you invaded us.
Yep.
It wasn't because they owned slaves, it wasn't because they did it. You're on my home ground, destroying everything.
Yep.
So we're going to fight.
I love this. I was just at the battlefield of McDowell, which took place in, it was Virginia, now West Virginia. But anyways, and the colonel, that was his motivation. When he was out there, he says, get them off your property. Get them out of your homes.
Yeah.
You got your wives back here. And anyways, and that sums it up in that movie Gods and Generals, where Robert E. Lee's on the hill, And you might remember that little interaction. He was with the staff up there, and his staff members basically, as they're looking out over the colonial town of Fredericksburg, he says, you know, General, down there is where George Washington's home was, and where he's supposed to chop down a cherry tree and throw that coin across the river. And Robert E. Lee knew that very well, right? Because he married into the Washington family, inherited George Washington's artifacts. But anyways, and Robert E. Lee's basic response was, well, to these people, Union soldiers, this is just another place on the map to conquer. But to us, this is where I met my wife. This is where we found our love. This is where we dated. This is where we courted. This is where we're buried. This is our homes. So it was very different. Yeah, that perspective has been lost, unfortunately, to me at times. Anyways, wonderful talking to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, and thank you for being out here. Wonderful reenactment.
We enjoy it. We try to come back every 5 years on the big ones, but I'm getting up there in age, and I didn't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this, so I wanted to come early.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate you coming and supporting us.
Love it. Well, that's why I like to share these, is to encourage people to support American living history, to come out here, realize this is a great family event. This is a great moment to...
Well, this is my husband, myself, and our 2 boys. So we all came together. So we're family up here. So.
I love it.
So, yeah.
Ah, so cool. All right, y'all.
All right, you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too. All right, this is probably my longest live video ever going on, and it's, wow, coming up on almost 3 hours long. I'm walking through, and many of you are probably just joining us, but here in Gettysburg, this is the 162nd anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, and this is here at Daniel Lady Farm, right here. A lot of the battles took place right here. And I started this video out where one of the events was a descendant or relative of General Nathan Bedford Forrest. He spoke for at least the first 40 minutes or so, and then I just started walking around the Sutlers and the food stands and all the displays and all the different tents, all the living history kind of displays that are here. And so, I'm glad to be able to share this with everybody. So I'm just kind of walking around the Confederate encampment, which is really quite a distance from the entry, and that's why there's not very many people come through here. Everybody gets to walk by, everybody walks by the federal encampment, because you got to walk through there from the front entry to the reenactment area. So everybody's got to walk past there, and they're in the shade. But this one's way out on the, out in the field, on the other end of the field. But they said that's how it's been for quite a long time. Hello? Just kind of walking through the Confederate encampment through this area here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Here at Daniel Lady Farm. All right, just setting this up for a moment. I'll get back to you in just a moment. Gotta take care of something. If you're just joining me, I'm here at the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It's the 162nd anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg. It took place way back in July of 1st through 3rd, 1863. Back to what's coming up in just about a little over an hour from now is going to be the reenactment that's scheduled for 2 o'clock. It is now 12:47 Eastern Time. Walking back towards the reenactment in just a little bit, but just want to capture some scenes. I got a separate camera here. I wanted to capture some videos of this too, so I can share it later. Just want to stop in there for a little bit. Let's get a little video. Step away from the camera for just a little bit. Confederate encampment here in Gettysburg. Far other end of the field. Not many people roam out here, walk this far out for this encampment.
Not really. That's why I went around
Hello. How you doing? Hi, good. How you doing? Just love the scene from right here. Yes, absolutely. It looks like it'll be another good win today. Oh, I meant to say win. Yeah. Yeah.
You like that flag?
Sure do. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a special flag right there, buddy. Want to hear about it?
Yes, I do.
That flag flew over the top of Fort Sumter during the Huntley funeral.
Oh, it did.
Yes, it did. It's labeled on it. I got the authenticity right in here in that box to prove it. There were 75 flags that was flown at the Huntley funeral, and that was the number 7475.
Oh, awesome.
I was able to get it through a silent auction. I paid dearly for
I
it.
bet so do you still own that firstborn?
But no, man. Our camp, our SCV camp, was able to get a hold of them, and we had a silent auction at a banquet that we had.
Nice.
I was watching the guy just back and forth. I run behind him. And just before then, he thought it was going to be slick. Went up there and signed again, and I went right behind us, moved.
Yeah, move, buddy.
That was it, and I was able to swoop it up.
Nice.
Were you there for the Huntley?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
You're lucky. You're fortunate.
That's where I'm from, Charleston.
Oh, you are?
Yes, sir.
Oh, fat. Love it.
Did you see Sam Cooper there?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
You know who Sam Cooper is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Because I know he's really into the Huntley, and he gives talks on the Huntley.
Well, they stay so busy.
Yeah.
They go into different camps, doing
well,
this,
you can do
doing
that when you're retired.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Actually, this belt buckle here, I bought when I was down at Patriots Point in 1984. My scout troop. And I bought that buckle, and it's on the original belt that I put it on. Of course, I had to punch a couple more holes in it to get it to fit around, because I ain't 14 anymore.
I was lucky enough to find this belt buckle a few years ago, and I gave it to Chuck, Rum Creek Sutler.
Okay, we're Chuck, yeah.
He's had it for 2 years, and I went down there yesterday and told him, I said, Chuck, where's my buckle? You're supposed to make me a belt. He was digging in and said, here it is. I said, well, make my belt now or give me my buckle back. But
yeah, Chuck's a good guy.
Is the Southern Cross of Honor.
Oh, that's cool, yeah. That's the buckle you added down there.
Yes. And that's the first one I've seen like that. I've not have seen a replica of this anywhere. And this was actually a gift.
Nice. Maybe someone had it made for you.
I love it.
Yes. So when we do a Cross of Honor dedication on a Confederate soldier's grave, we'll put an iron cross on it.
Oh, absolutely. I love seeing those in different cemeteries.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Oh, that breeze is nice.
Yes,
it's like AC after that walk. Because you were just down at our camp.
Right.
My girlfriend was making the bonnets.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah, I just walked from there.
That's a distance.
That's a distance, yeah. I was hoping I was going to find an intercepted golf cart. No such luck, so.
I was going to say, because, the Federals have got their camp right up there by the entryway. Everybody's got to walk past theirs, and they've got the shade. Yeah. And you got to walk way out here to the end of the battlefield.
Yeah, with all these deplorables up there.
We get treated like Confederates still.
Well, I know. I'm only doing it this weekend, and I'm feeling the second-class citizen. Usually, I'm with the 150th PVI, Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry, Buckdale. So I'm with the 140th. The guys that I'm mustering with, they during Gettysburg, they always just become the 33rd Virginia. And I always usually muster with them when we're doing, Cedar Creek and things like that with the Union, and they always do Confederate for Gettysburg.
Did you have a good time at Cedar Creek this year, honestly?
I honestly did.
You did?
And I'll tell you why. Because it was my first year actually fighting.
Right, right.
And we were one of the last battalions in the sea of blue that were walking up the hill. And to see 2,200 guys in Union blue in a straight line and being a part of that, that moved to me.
That's good. That's
yeah,
good. I'm glad you got that in your heart. Just some things that took place at Cedar Creek this year, I'm not going to buy.
Yeah, I'm the same way with Old Bedford Village.
I gave things amongst the A and B. That's the reason why I quit them, dropped them, and I'm not going to buy. I won't go buy.
And I when I was at Remembrance Day, I was talking to some of the older bucktails.
Yeah.
And I was telling them my experience I had, the emotional experience I had seeing that line of people. And John Tenney said to me, he goes, when I started this hobby, that would have been 6,000 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he's well into his 60s.
Well, I remember Cedar Creek when we had to camp. We were near the Bell House.
Right.
The field was full.
Yeah.
I mean, then there's 10, 12,000 reenactors.
And once we broke over the hill,
yeah,
when we were deployed, and then you see all those Confederates, that was moving as well.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, so for me, from an actual reenacting standpoint, it was one of my better events that I went to. And
safety issues really.
Gentlemen,
take care. Yeah.
We got
just kind of walking around here in the Confederate section now. Coming up on 1 o'clock. Let's see, what time is it? Almost 1 o'clock Eastern time. And the reenactment starts at 2 o'clock. Somebody can start walking down that way. Walking. Nope. Start walking back towards the reenactment.
If you're ready to give up, I'll take it over. See, I got the board, you don't. Put that on.
All right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and end this for now. This live video is approaching 2 hours and 45 minutes. My longest live video yet. I figured might as well just share it. I'll be walking around, might as well just be able to turn the video on. So once again here at the 162nd anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg here at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. More specifically, this is Daniel Lady Farm. It's been a great reenactment yesterday and the day before. Weather's been pretty good. Definitely warmer and hot, but I say that at least it's not raining. It's supposed to be quite a bit of rain in the forecast coming up this upcoming week. So pleasant day out here right now. Encourage you to bring your families out here. It's a great family event. Keep American living history alive. So I'll restart this when the reenactment begins. in just about an hour from now. That's all for now.
But you know, the funny thing was, it wasn't that hard to keep from falling out.